Hey y'all, hey, it's Millionaire Monday. Come on in the room and let me know you're here. Listen, we got a special guest, and I'm super excited today about our special guest. We have an attorney, so when y'all get in the room, tag somebody who either has started a business or is a business owner and needs to speak to an attorney. Tag somebody, say hi, come on and share. Let me know that you are here. And when you guys get in the room, I will start to do all of my fun spill stuff and get us on the way. Get us on the way. How was your Monday? How was your Monday, guys? Give me a second. I'm sorry. I'm trying to share. Come on, let me know you here. Say hi. Tag a friend that needs to speak to a business attorney that's getting ready to start a business or is in business and maybe need to have the contracts reviewed. Got some questions? Come on in the room. Come on in the room. Tag somebody. Tag somebody. Who is that? Say hi. Hey, Lacey! Congratulations, Lacey! Woo, 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 woo! We did it! Y'all, I'm sorry. Lacey's one of my clients. We hit the goal this year, right? We coming into 2021 having destroyed 2020, baby. That's what we do over here, and I'm super excited. I'm so proud of you, Lacey. So proud of you. Come on, y'all, tag somebody. So you know it's Millionaire Monday, and I am here with a dream team person, right? You know, I teach you guys need your dream team. You need your accountant, your attorney, your banker, your insurance agent, you know, and your business mentor. And today we are here in the house with a business attorney. I'm super excited to have her here. She's going to give you guys the tea on entity structures, maybe some contracts, trademarks, copyright, and all that kind of stuff that I don't know nothing about that she does. And so I'm going to bring on, this is Miss Danielle Leanne. Come talk to the people, Miss Danielle. How are you?
Good morning.
Morning. How are you? Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, your business, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so my name is Danielle Lynn, attorney Danielle Lynn. I'm a licensed attorney in the state of Florida, born and raised in Florida. I'm actually now currently living in Georgia. I made a move halfway through 2020, but my firm services mostly Florida clients when it comes to business formation, but trademarks and copyrights are federal, so I take clients from all over the United States who need trademarks and copyrights. I have kind of a gamut of legal experience. So
Ooh,
before I started my firm, I was doing real estate litigation. I've done family law. I've done dependency, which is essentially prosecuting cases of abuse, abandonment, and neglect of children. That's it. That was my original job when I first graduated from law school. If there are any Rattlers in the house, I am a proud graduate of the Florida A&M University College of Law,
let me
located in
know, girl.
Orlando, Florida. Yes, so Rattler love, Rattler pride, and HBCU pride, if there are any HBCU grads out there. So I'm a proud historically Black law school graduate.
Graduate.
Um, and this year, I really pivoted within my career. Because of COVID, there were a lot of layoffs. I unfortunately was one from my prior firm, but Boss Lady Legal was something that I was already kind of creating. Originally, it was just supposed to be a social media platform that would highlight Black-owned businesses within my community, specifically Black woman-owned businesses. And then I had a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs around me who were friends and sorority sisters of mine who had questions like, well, should I go from a sole proprietorship to an LLC? How do I protect my business? What type of contracts do I need? So originally, I just kind of wanted to start a blog, honestly, where I could give, that's how it started. I wanted to start a blog that would kind of give like tips without necessarily giving full-blown legal
Okay.
advice.
Yeah.
But like I said, I had to pivot. So when I lost my job at my old firm, I just went full force into Boss Lady Legal. So now it is a boutique firm that specializes in business formation, contracts, copyrights, and trademarks. But I also do business consultation because a lot of times for small business owners or people who have been sitting on an idea, they really don't even know where to
What
start.
to do, yeah.
So I would like my firm to kind of be a one-stop shop for my clients and eventually spread into business funding as well. If you want to go bigger with your business and you want to pitch to investors, being able to, have Boss Lady Legal help you to develop that pitch and kind of get it together so that you feel that I'm just as invested in your business as you are. So that's a little bit
Yes,
about me.
that's a huge motto. I tell everybody, like, I don't win unless my clients win. And so I partner
Hmm.
with them 100%. I'm on the A team. I want everybody to win because it just don't make sense. It's um, when you're in business, every decision you make is really based on your bottom line. And so
Right.
it's pivotal, but like you want to protect your bottom line and having your contract in right, having your business entity set up correctly, all of those things, trademarks and copyright, all of those things are protecting your bottom line because you're eligible to be sued or you can't get your money for something that you've done. But if your contract isn't tight, then if it ain't right, you out in the wind with thousands of dollars, 15K. I've seen huge losses for people
Yes.
not doing it the right way or thinking LegalZoom has their back. So can you
Yes.
talk to us? Hey Ash, hey Martha, hey Frankie, hey Brenda. I said hi to Lacey. Hey everybody. Listen, shameless plug. If you know a business owner, right? If you know a business owner that is actively in business or even thinking about getting in business, this is the time. Tag a friend. You guys have access to a licensed attorney, right? Right here, right now, 9 o'clock in the morning, fresh with your fresh ideas to prepare you guys for 2021 so we can set you guys up for success. This is the fundamentals of building a business. It's not just your great idea. You want that. I mean, the great idea is we can think of it as what do you call it? I'm not a wordologist. I can't remember. But you identify what you want to do, but then you got to determine your legal things like business structure, how much capital is going to take, all of these things. You need to create your dream team so they can protect you and keep
Right.
you going. Yes, Frankie, tag some more business owners. And so tell us, what do you think? Like, I see a lot of people, especially new business owners, having come from LegalZoom and what's the other one? It's another one, but I see a lot of LegalZoom and
Legal Shield, Legal Zoom,
yeah, they tell me
Google University.
they tell me all the time. With the new business owners, a lot of them are taken back about how I guess forceful I am about building a team and having it done right or getting it done right in the process. And I just see like it's not like it doesn't work for me, especially when they create the LLCs and then I ask them why and they're looking at me like, well, and then I'm saying, like, from the tax portion, I'm like, well, it doesn't do anything for you for taxes, but you have definitely opened yourself up to $300 in the state of Tennessee because we have annual fees for that LLC,
Hmm.
assets that you have, and you don't have any employees. And so, why? So, let's talk a little bit about that. What do you think about the AI type, generalistic contracts and business setups? What do you think about that?
So the danger when you're dealing with something like LegalZoom or Legal Shield is that you're not getting something that is custom and structured for your business needs, right? So one common, I think, misconception is kind of touching on what you just said is that my business is not legitimate if it's not filed with the state, right? If I don't have an LLC or I'm not incorporated, my business is not legitimate. That is absolutely not true. You just have a different type of business structure. So there are several types of business structures, and you really have to think about the type of business that you're running and what your long-term goals are. So
Whoa.
for instance, if you are, it's 2020 and everybody's trying to make a buck right now because we don't really know,
What's
the economy is going to look like, and the political climate is really crazy. So what if, like in April, when all of this kind of first got heated, you said, I'm going to start, making soaps or something small, because I'm not getting as many hours at work anymore, or, I might have gotten furloughed or something like that, and I just need something to generate cash. But this is not something that I'm like, this is not a business that I'm about to like be the CEO of and really push hard. You may not necessarily want to file an LLC. You may just want to stay what is called a sole proprietor. A sole proprietor is just someone who is in business, someone that is selling a good or offering a service. The sole proprietorship is the most basic of business structures that there is really just you in business. Honestly, for tax purposes, and I want to preface it by saying I'm not a tax attorney.
I am
I'm
though.
a professional, and professionals know what they don't know. Okay. So even for my clients, I always tell them before they make the final decision of what type of business structure they want, to go and seek the advice of a CPA, of an accountant, because the accountant will be able to tell you what the tax liabilities will be every year and the things that you need to think about. So and correct me if I'm wrong, but the downside of a sole proprietorship is that there's no separation between you and the business. So even from a financial standpoint, when you are filing your taxes, any profits, incomes, losses, anything that you take in the business, if you're a sole proprietor, has to be reported on your individual tax return, because the IRS doesn't see, Danielle Lynn separately from Boss Lady Legal. Boss Lady Legal and Danielle Lynn are the same person, okay, the same entity. The
And
other downside, go ahead, go ahead.
that is the same tax wise for the
Mhm.
LLC, unless
Unless you file a 2553. Exactly. So we don't get there.
LegalZoom does not tell you that, and
No, they
so
don't. So yeah, we're gonna get there, because this is part. Yes, this is something that I'm very, very passionate about, because it's information that people don't realize, that the filing with your Secretary of State is just to put the state and the consumer base that you're probably going to be catering to on notice that, hey, this is a business. And nine
Mhm.
times out of 10, you're filing because if there is a lawsuit filed against you, you have to have what's called a registered agent. If you're filing to be a limited liability company or like an incorporated entity, a corporation, you have to have what's called a registered agent, and that is someone who can legally accept service on your behalf. And service would be like whatever paperwork is filed in a lawsuit, so that you are put on notice that, hey, someone is trying to sue you, right? That is totally different than what the IRS don't care nothing about that. Okay. So with a sole proprietorship, there are benefits. Like I said, there, you don't need to file anything. You don't need to pay any extra money. This is really for the person, like I said, who is just trying to make some, extra money and doesn't want to do it long term. But the disadvantages is that, number one, for tax purposes, you have to report that on your personal taxes. So if you take a loss, it's going to hit you. And then, secondly, and I think most important, is that if something goes wrong, like say you start selling soap and someone has an allergic reaction and now they're not happy and they want to sue you, they can come after everything. Okay. So if they're seeking a judgment, say you get sued for $100,000, but you only have $50,000 in your house. Well, unfortunately, your house is going to be considered an asset in that lawsuit, because your company and you are not separated.
Yep, y'all.
Partnerships, partnerships are the same way, right? So, say you get a business partner, that is considered a partnership because you're not the only person in business. Partnerships also don't require any type of filings, but each person is equally liable within that business. So, if something goes wrong once again and someone sues you, both of you guys' personal assets are now on the line, or however many partners you may have. The other thing too is that because partnerships don't require a lot of formalities where you're having like agreements and contracts, say you
Yeah.
have a business partner and that business partner decided, hey, I'm going to go apply for the PPP loan, even though I know we don't qualify for it. I'm going to try to get this money. You have no idea that that's what they did. Now you have, $100,000 worth of PPP, and you're freaking out because it's like, whoa, you didn't talk to me, you didn't ask for my permission, you didn't even get me on board. When you have a partnership and you don't have a partnership agreement, which is essentially the contract that tells everyone in the business, this is how the business runs. In order for us to make business decisions, these are how many people have to be on board. Each partner can do what they want to do, and if they go and get funding or something like that, whoever those creditors are see that person as if that person is the business, even if you weren't there. So that is also the importance of making sure that even if formalities aren't required for the type of business that you have contracts in place, because the last thing you want to do is to be liable for the actions of someone else who didn't even consult you before they did what they were doing. Okay. So
Yeah.
then, of course, LLCs, right? So LLCs are the most commonly asked about, frequently used. People really think like if I'm LLC, like I'm legitimate,
I'm
right?
legit.
Right, exactly. So so a limited liability company is named that for that reason. Each person, each manager, each partner in the business has limited liability. That means that if someone comes after you in the course of business, if you're selling your soaps and someone gets an allergic reaction and they want to sue you, they would be suing the company and not the individual owners. So only the assets of the company would be at stake. So, I mean, unfortunately, if you have like an office space or, any type of revenue or anything that comes into the business, those would then be at stake as long as the owners of the business continue to act, you know, they separate their actions. I see
Okay,
that
so I was
you
just about
raising your church finger.
because we have the corporate veil, right? And so this is when I tell you guys you need a banker, right? You need a business bank account. This is why. This is I
Yes,
was fresh. Do
absolutely.
not co-mingle.
Mingle funds.
This is why.
Hmm.
What she's telling you is limited liability unless
Unless you act outside of that, right? So that even goes down to signing contracts. Say you want to get into a brick and mortar and you go ahead, you have a clothing line and you want to go and open your own boutique. If you sign that lease as Danielle Lynn and not Boss Lady Legal, you are not acting with limited liability because that contract is in your personal name. So if you get sued, even if you have all the paperwork and you go to the judge and say, hey, I am a limited liability company, the judge is going to look at it and say, yeah, but you're not acting like one. So even with the business bank account, I have clients that are still just using their regular, checking account or savings account and funding the business that way. And I know that in the beginning, most of it is, kind of bootstrap funding, right? Where you're putting in your own money. And that's fine in the beginning, but you need to always have that separation. So if you're going to take the money out of your checking, put it in your business checking account, your operational account. Everything has to be separated because, like I said, to keep that limited liability, you need to be able to show that whenever you're acting, it's acting on behalf of the business. You are not signing your personal name on any contracts. And if you do, I mean, more than likely, right, if you are like a single member LLC or something, you're going to sign the contract, but it should say Danielle Lynn, principal attorney, Boss Lady Legal. That way they know, hey, she's signing in her capacity as a managing member of this company, not in her individual capacity. You have to make sure that if you're going to talk the talk, that you walk in the walk as well.
get
Okay.
it together, honey. I got
Right.
a question. Somebody said, does a single member LLC still need a registered agent, or is it by default that member? So I think is
So
it
I get what she's saying.
first?
So to answer that question, no matter how many members of the LLC there are, you can be your own registered agent. This is why I personally wouldn't recommend it. If you are your own registered agent, your address is now in the public record. So I don't know if you want people popping up at your house or at your job, like if you, because there's a lot of us that work full time and we have, you know, our entrepreneurial pursuits on the side as well. So I wouldn't want anybody popping up on my full time job, serving me with a lawsuit for, you know, my other company or my other business ventures. So that is something that you want to think about. If you decide to be your own registered agent, all of that information is now public record. Anybody can see it. And in this day and age where there's a lot of like identity theft, or, you know, you could have something crazy. Like I had a client that owns a hair salon, and I guess she had a disgruntled client that found her home address, because that's the address that she was using to serve as her RA, and just popped up at her house. Like, you probably don't want that. So, you know, for my clients, I always advise that if they would like to be their own RA, that's fine, because um, you have to kind of outsource that, which means you're going to have to pay a yearly fee for that. But sometimes it's worth it, especially if you know that, you know, you might move. You don't want to end up having a company that is registered in a certain state, and then you end up moving and now you have to update addresses, and those are additional fees too. In the state of Florida, I think it's like $25 to do a change of address for a business. And so if you know that, you know, you have plans of kind of developing multiple businesses as well, you may want to think about hiring someone to be a registered agent, and then their information would be on file. But no, it can be any member of the business. So if you're a single member LLC, it could be you acting as your own registered agent. If it's multi-member, it could be any of the members of the LLC. But you just have to keep in mind that now your information is going to be public record, and you cannot use a PO box for a registered agent. It has to be a physical address. So that's the other thing too, because I know some clients are like, well, if I just get a PO box, it has to be a physical address for your RA.
See, I didn't
So.
know that. See, I even learned something. I did not know
Mhm.
that. Somebody said, where does your business practice? So I'll let you say that again.
Okay. So I'm licensed in the state of Florida right now. So for anyone who's looking to form a business, I only take clients from Florida because that's where I'm licensed to practice. But if you are interested in trademark or copyright, that's federal protection. That's all 50 states. So I'm able to take clients from any of the 50 states in the United States for my trademark and copyright services. For contracts, I also usually like to take clients from Florida because each state has its own like little nuances when it comes to
Yeah.
contracts. Yeah. So I usually try to, anything that has to do with the specifics of a state. Right now I'm only taking clients in Florida, but if you need a trademark or you need a copyright, it doesn't matter where you are. So.
Okay, so Frankie says I'm in the military, but we will operate out of the state of my business. Her business is registered. So how
Mhm.
would that, like, for her, how would that work with the travel? You know, the domesticated and kind of foreign business structure type thing. How would that work? Because
So it
Frankie,
kind
you're in Tennessee, I know, but military, we move everywhere. So
Right. So it kind of depends. If you are if your business is registered in one specific state, then you just have to kind of worry about the specifics of that state, right? So one of the biggest things too, if you file with the Secretary of State to do like a limited liability company or a corporation, is your annual filing. That is so important. And a lot of small business owners sometimes forget, like, oh yeah, I need to file, you know, refile and make sure that they know I'm still in business in the state every year. That can mess a lot of stuff up for you.
they will.
So you have to make sure that whatever state your business is registered, you know the specifics of that state, what's required to not only get into business or register, but also stay in business and stay in compliance. If you are looking to move or service people in other states, then my recommendation would still be to look at the Secretary of State's website to see what their requirements are, and then file as a foreign entity, right? Like you're registered in one state, but you're coming in to do business or to continue business in another state, just so that you continue to have that protection within whatever state your business, you know, does business in. E-commerce is pretty tricky when it comes to that. So I think that things have changed over time, just because if you start, you know, if you start a clothing company in Georgia, But you have like Shopify or something like that, where the potential is there that someone from California could buy a hat or a shirt from you. That has kind of changed legally what some of the requirements are, because it is so easy to do what's called interstate commerce.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're actually looking to register your business in several states, then you'll probably have to register as a foreign entity. But unless you want to do that, you'll be fine as long as you know what the requirements of your state is, the state that you're currently registered in.
Okay. Hey, Anthony. Let me see if I had any more questions. I don't see any more right now, but I'll piggyback off the e-commerce thing, because there's a sales tax structure, and I get
Mm-hmm.
all the time. Your sales tax are based on where your business is located or operating from. And so you cannot collect sales tax unless you have registered with your state to have a sales tax account. So you cannot be out in these streets taking money on behalf of the state, because it's not your money on the behalf of the state, without having a valid state account. Now, when it comes to sales tax or whatever, if you are just starting out, then more than likely you don't qualify for what we call an economic nexus, which means if you sell a lot in a state that you don't operate in. So she is operating from Florida, right? But she's
Mm-hmm.
selling in Georgia. Well, in order for her to sell in Georgia and collect Georgia state tax, or be required to collect their state tax, she has to reach, I think in Georgia is 100K in sales to that state. Now, once you do that, then you've hit what they call economic nexus, unless you sell on like Amazon or eBay, then they collect on your behalf. But that's when you hit economic nexus, and then you're going to be required to collect their sales tax, and they will catch you, right? Because everything is digital. So don't think
Right.
that because you haven't received the letter yet that they don't know, because they do. I see it all the time, and states are really, really nasty when it comes to sales tax. They really are, because they're closer to you than say the IRS. Like the state revenue officers, they got time, so they will show up at your address. They will show up at your place of business because they have time. Legally, the other stuff, like she said, all I know is domesticated and foreign entities. That's all I know, because I'm not the resident expert. That's all I know. That's all I know. Do we have any more questions, guys? We've been on here 30 minutes. Ooh, I talk too much. We've been on here 30 minutes. Anybody else? No. Okay. Well, then I am going to let Miss Danielle wrap it up. Miss Danielle, tell us where they can connect with you. I know you said you started as a blogger and you're not anymore. She's a boutique accounting firm. That's me.
Business law, intellectual property.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
She's a boutique law firm, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm the boutique accounting firm. Sorry. And she services for trademark and copyright all 50 states, everybody, because that's federal. Everybody, everywhere, right? So that's why I had you guys tag a friend. But she does business consulting, right? And so you guys hear me all the time. You need an attorney. And so she can look at your contracts, guys. She can look at your contracts. She can review your entity structure and kind of tell you what she thinks is best. She can do that, especially when.
And can I, because we didn't even touch on the intellectual property part, which is, I think, the thing that I'm most passionate about. Number one of the key things that people don't do and don't really think about when they're first starting a business is they don't do a proper search.
Oh, name.
So we assume that if we go on the Secretary of State's website and we don't see a business that is named after our business or something close to it, that we're good, right? And that means that when we file our LLC or we file for a corporation, we own it. No, you don't. You do not own it. You do not own the name, logo, slogan of your business until you have federal trademark protection. And I want to tell this story as a cautionary tale. because it's a real life example of what happens when you don't kind of do that work on the front end. So after the summer, everything that happened with George Floyd, there was a big awakening when it came to like everything Black owned, right? And so we saw a lot of these emergences of like Black business Facebook groups and stuff like that, and I'm in one of them. And there was a young lady that came in, and it was a heart-wrenching story. She had started a cosmetics line. She's a single mom, based out of, let's say it was Texas, right? So she started a cosmetics line. She was using her initials. It was like, XY Cosmetics. And she had been doing it for like 5 years. Recently, she got a letter from a law firm for a business based out of Florida who had a registered trademark for XYZ Cosmetics. And they basically told her you can no longer use your name. They contacted Shopify. Shopify took her whole website down. She could not sell her products on her website or anything because their argument was that her name, the name of her business, was confusingly similar to their business name, and they sold the same products. So consumers could look and think that her business is their business is her business, vice versa. But the difference between the two is that they had federal protection. So there's an assumption if they go to court, the court is going to give a what's called a rebuttable presumption that these people, because they paid the money to register their trademark, own the name. That's unfortunate because you got to think about all of the money that you spend on branding and marketing. You got business cards, and if you sell contracts, you got labels on all of your, if you sell products, excuse me, you got labels on all of your products. You pay for your website, and now the website won't even let you sell your stuff. Like Shopify, all those, they don't play about trademark or copyright infringement. If they get a letter, they're snatching it right off of their platform. And I really thought that was so heart-wrenching because not only do we suffer, especially our businesses, Black-owned businesses suffer because of what we don't know, as far as like people can go and get their thing protected and then put us out of business. People steal our ideas and they profit off of it, and they do what needs to be done to protect it. And now we don't have a stake in the game, right? So I mean, if you guys are familiar with B Simone, B Simone is another example of someone. Now she was the opposite. She took someone else's stuff, right? She had this manifestation journal that she released this year, and she made like $1 million off of pre-sales. And when it was released, come to find out, that wasn't her stuff. That she took I think it was two ladies that put something on Pinterest, right? So they would have never imagined that their PDF printable on Pinterest would end up being in a book that sold, made $1 million in revenue. But they didn't protect their stuff, and in this day and age where there is a lot of internet, we have influencers and podcasters, and people write ebooks and develop e-courses. That is all copyrightable material, because if someone takes it and uses it and they make money off of it, you're going to have a very hard time proving that you were the original author, or you had the original idea. So don't think that just because it's not a hardcover book, right, that you're not selling in stores, that it's not something that you can copyright. Anything that is in a tangible medium that we can see, we can hear, we can read, anything like that is copyrightable. And I'm very, very passionate about business owners protecting their brands. You have to protect your brand. Your brand is your business name. Your brand is your logo. Coca-Cola, we know Coca-Cola because they make sure that we know Coca-Cola. The colors, the mascot, the polar bear, everything. But they protect those things so no one else can take it from them. And that becomes a business asset. You make money off of that.
Yeah. This is why I tell you guys it's so important to build your dream team. This is something you never would have known because you guys say attorneys are expensive. It's not. It is.
It's an investment.
You need this wealth of resource. You need this. You need somebody to say, okay, how long you want to be in business? Do you want to sell it? Like I'm sure she can look at it and tell you what might be able to sell and what not. How does that work? Royalties, stuff like that that comes from, you know, your books that you have or some contracts that you have. All of these things that we don't think about because we got this bright idea, but your bright idea branches out into a lot of areas. You know, business is more than just the sale. It really
Mm-hmm.
is more than just the sale. And there's a lot of fundamentals that you have to get to that or that you should do before the sale so you can protect your legacy. Basically, we're trying to build wealth and create legacies, and this is the way you do it. You invest in the beginning so you can have a big payout in the end. This is long
Yes.
term game. We're not playing the short term game. You never hear me talking about the short term game because I'm legacy building, wealth creation right here, right now in 2020. The pandemic has showed us that we need to be ready. Always be ready. And if you have your key players on your team, they help you be ready because they're ready. We study. Like you don't go
Right.
to school sleeping. You don't pass the bar exam sleeping. Nobody will ever tell you that. Like you don't take the CPA exam and pass it and you ain't studied. That's not a thing. That's a not. It's not a thing. And so it behooves you if you want to be somebody that is going to create a legacy not for yourself but for your offspring, right? If you don't want to be one paycheck or one client away from failure, it behooves for you to do it right the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I saw, you guys know I'm in these boutique streets because I love e-commerce, and I seen a girl receive a um cis and deceased letter or whatever
Mm-hmm.
because of her name. She was nice something, and the somebody from Canada was saying, "Hey, it's too close to my name," and she had like 2 or 3 like physical locations. So this girl
Mm-hmm.
was probably bigger than this other place all the way in Canada, and she had been doing it 3 or 4 years, and now you got to change the game.
Right.
Your clients, you know, people don't read like they should. So your clients are probably thinking that you did something wrong or you stealing from somebody else. And that's not the case. You just did not build a solid structure. You didn't. It's not an expense to have an attorney. It's not an expense to have an accountant. It will save you. Like these businesses are losing money now because you cannot get to your clients anymore. It
Right.
happened to, I don't know if you got, I like to collect dials or whatever. And it happened to a black owned dial company, and I can't think of the name. When I think of it, I will post it. But they had to change their name, and they were on Shark Tank. They had to change
Mm-hmm.
their name and all of this other stuff because they were sued for this name. And I think they were actually in Florida as well. And they had investors and hadn't formed the right way. And it when I saw that, I was like, yo, they were on Shark Tank. Isn't it attorneys and stuff on there? Why didn't somebody pull them in and say, hey, get your dream team together before we give you this money? Because the
And
money.
the thing about it is, right, and the thing about it is that a lot of investors look and they ask for that documentation because they know how important it is to protect the brand. Why would I put money into a business that could get sued at any minute for anything? You know, you make it past the hurdle of registering your business and you got things flowing, but your brand is not protected. Anybody could go steal that name and start doing something with it, you know?
And they
You
will
you
and they do. When you
and
get
they do all and the thing about it is that they take it from us the most frequently, because let me tell you, your small business is not going to stay small for very long,
yeah.
but they're going to steal from it when it's small because number one, they know that you don't know how to protect it. Number two, because it's small, there's no name recognition. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not like someone's going to hear it and be like, wait a minute, isn't that like, no one's out here stealing Pepsi's name. No one's going to steal Pepsi. No one's going to steal Delta Airlines because they're huge. There's name recognition there. But your small business, there's not name recognition, at least not right now, right? So they're going to steal from you first because they can. And then you don't find out till years later when you've pretty much put your life's work into it, that now you have to go back to not only go back to square one, but now you have to pay out because it's nice to get a cease and desist letter. They don't have to do that. they could just take you right to court. And now you have to pay lawyers to clean up on the back end the things that could have been done on the front end. And I say all the time, just like you said, like investing, it's investing in your business. So if you know that you don't have, the numbers game, you don't know the tax liabilities, you're not going to want to do your own taxes on your own, right? You're going to want to go to an accountant who can say, yeah, write off all this stuff. It's 2020. We've been working from home. You need to write off all of this stuff, right? Or someone that can say, all right, if we don't do things this way, you're going to take a loss. And this is what it's going to look like with tax liability. You would go to a CPA to do that. You would want to do that on your own. A lot of CPAs have their own CPAs, like, because they don't want to. I do it for my client. I'm not trying. Right, exactly. No shame. I'm not trying to do it for myself. It's the same thing with an attorney. I see a question: where do you start with the CPA or the lawyer, or contact with Boss Lady Legal on where to start? So my thing is, I don't think necessarily one is more important than the other. I do think that a lawyer is going to give you is going to help you to think about how to protect yourself in the long term, right? Which is things that we don't really think about. We want to get our LLC, you just pay your registration fee, which is pretty nominal, right? And you just want to start generating money. But your tax consultant, your accountant, your CPA, they're going to be able to tell you the best tax structure for your long-term success. Your attorney is going to be able to tell you the legal benefits. So sometimes your CPA might be like, okay, yeah, I think that this is better tax-wise for where you're at. But your lawyer might not necessarily agree, because they're going to be like, okay, but for what you're doing, you have to have certain levels of protection. I haven't really seen it where, if I have a client that has an accountant, I've never seen where usually me and the accountant are on the same page. Like,
Yeah,
hey, we need to do a little more. Usually they're on the same page.
I like to think of it as your left and right hand, like, or
Yes.
your right foot. Like, you're in business, so with business, there's money and there's law. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no way around it. And so skipping those two key components, you're setting yourself up to lose. You
And
are.
you got to think about it. Taxes are the law. How many people you hear go to jail or are under investigation for tax evasion, tax fraud, stuff like that? That is just a more niche, like, very nuanced facet of it. But your taxes and the legal ramifications of what you do or you don't do when you're starting a business, they really go hand in hand. So if you're on a budget, I would say probably the accountant first to kind of guide you. But in all honesty, the attorney is important for your long-term success, because number one, like I said, people think of trademarking like when they already have the business. But what is the point of making sure that your name is trademarkable if you've already established the business? So what do you do when you find out that, oh man, there's like a very confusingly similar business named that's out there that has protection, but I've already paid the registration fee to the state. I've already started selling my products or my services. I have a logo that I paid a designer to do for me. What do I do now? Do you have to rebrand yourself? How much does that cost? So it makes sense to do that search in the beginning before you even establish the business, so that you know what's available. And if it's not available to you, your first idea, you have a B, C, D idea out there. And your attorney can kind of help you develop that too, because I've had clients that have logos that are too generic. And I tell them it's too generic, right? Think about when you're thinking about trademarking a logo or a business name, the more creative it is, the better. Because, if you sell pizzas and you have a pizza parlor called Cheesy Pizzas, you're probably not going to get trademark protection for that, because that's too common. A lot of pizza companies are going to have pizza in their name or describe themselves as cheesy, right? But for instance, Kodak is a household name. We all know that that's pictures. Kodak is fanciful. Like, Kodak is not a real word. Like, who thought of that? But it's something that is unique, that is going to be specific to that business and that brand. And because of that, it's so unique to that business that it has to be protected. It has to. So you're going to get that trademark protection, but you don't know that unless you have an attorney on your team who can tell you, hey, you need to be a little more creative, or your logo is too generic, and you're not, or there's something out there that is going to be too close to it. So you need to think about something different before you even slap it on a product or any of your marketing, so that you're not spending all of that money trying to clean up on the back end what you should have done on the front end.
Remember, guys, we're not hustling, right? So
Right.
hustling is fast money. We're builders. And so when you land the foundation of something, that's expensive. You know, you have to go to the city and get the license for this, and then you got to get an inspector for this. It comes at a cost, but it's because you know that you're gonna make $100,000 off this house as soon as it's
Mm-hmm.
built. So you might have to pay $20K in the front. That's okay. We're building. We're not hustling. We playing the long-term game, guys. We are playing the long-term game. So who I'm sorry. Oh, are there specific contracts for publishers and ghostwriters?
The ones that come to my mind, the most immediate are contracts that protect your copyright. So if you are an author, right, or a podcaster or anybody that creates something in, like I said, what's called a tangible medium where people can see it and hear it, you have copyrights. And that is the protection against people that blatantly copy your work. Your copyrights are developed the moment that you put that into the tangible, like into the tangible medium. So if you're selling an ebook, or if you're a ghostwriter, you are the one creating that work. So you have copyrights in it the moment that you write it, and then you give it to another person. But in order for you to be able to effectively protect those rights, you have to register that copyright. So that puts people on notice, like, hey, I'm not going to go, Michelle Obama Becoming. The audacity of me to go and write a book called Becoming, that where I'm talking about the same exact thing as the first lady. No, she has a copyright in that, right? Mm-hmm. The thing that we don't think about with copyrights is because they're automatic, copyrights can only be transferred through contracts. There has to be a written contract. Mm-hmm. The best example and the most frequent that I see is when someone says, oh yeah, I hired someone on Fiverr to do my logo, or I hired a graphic designer to do my logo. Okay, so that's a work for hire. But does the contract say that that designer no longer owns that logo? Because you didn't create that logo. So if you try to go trademark that logo, you can. It doesn't stop you from trademarking it. But during the trademark process, there's something called publication. And it's essentially where the USPTO office puts in, different newspapers, hey, this business or this business owner is trying to trademark this business name or this logo. Are there any parties that contest to this business owning this logo? Your graphic designer could say, yeah, because they don't own that logo. I do. I created it. Unless that contract, that work for hire contract, says explicitly that the designer no longer owns the copyrights, transfers indefinitely their copyright ownership to, blase business, because once again, going back to limited liability, if you're an LLC or you're a corporation, you want the assets to be owned by the business, not you. So if you got a graphic designer to do something for XYZ Incorporated, that copyright assignment should say that it belongs to XYZ Incorporated, right? Unless that's in writing, you don't own that logo. That's with any copyright. So if you are a ghostwriter, you want to get royalties off of what you're creating, right? Or you want to get paid off what you're creating, you want your contracts to reflect that. Now, most times if you're a ghostwriter, you're gonna have to transfer over your copyrights because you're a ghostwriter, right? Essentially, the idea is that you stay in the background. But what you can do is ask for what's called a either revocable or irrevocable license of use. Mm-hmm. So if you're a ghostwriter, you want to be able to use your writing maybe in your portfolio to offer your services. If you hand over your copyright rights in what you create, you want the new owner of the copyright, to give you what's called an irrevocable or a revocable license. A revocable license means they can come back and say, hey, we don't want you to use it anymore. Irrevocable means they can never come back. You're always going to be able to use it, but it's always for a limited purpose. So a lot of times graphic designers will say, hey, you own it, but we have an irrevocable license to use for branding and marketing purposes, to add to our portfolio, to put on our website, to blast on our social media, just to show, hey, This is something that I created for someone else. I can do this the same for you. And you retain your ability to do that. If you're a ghostwriter, you want to make sure you get royalties, right? For if you're ghostwriting for a book or something like that, you want to make sure every time that book is sold, you're getting, you know, a certain percentage of the sales. Those are things that you want in your contracts, and the type of clauses that you want to see in your contracts to make sure that you're getting the most out of what you're doing.
That's a good deal. We got another one. Miss Brenda say, how long is the trademarking process, and where do you check to see if a name you want doesn't belong to someone else?
So this is where the big bucks come in. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. To trademark something, it's not cheap. It's definitely an investment, but it's a worthwhile investment. So the place that you would go to make sure that the name or the logo or the slogan that you're trying to associate with your company is available is the United States Patent and Trademark Office website, the USPTO. However, right, and this is what Legal Shield and LegalZoom don't tell you, there are different codes that you have to put in, right? Because when you think about a logo, right, a logo can have style elements. For instance, everyone can identify the Disney font. Disney owns that font. People cannot use that font and make money off of it without Disney knocking on their door for a check, okay? They own the font.
Wow.
Yes, and like I said, your small business ain't gonna stay small. So you have to think like a big business, even as a small business. These big businesses spare no expense when it comes to protecting their stuff. So Disney owns the font that you see that they use in their movies, on their merchandise, in the actual Disney name. In order to see that, you would have to know what code to put in when you're doing the search. That honestly is the bulk of what you're paying a lawyer to do, is to go through and put every single code and code combination imaginable to make sure that there is no business hidden out there, no logo hidden out there, no slogan hidden out there that could stop you from having full ownership of your business. And most people don't know how to do that because, number one, they've never been taught how to do it. They don't understand how the codes work. They don't know how to search it. And they don't know what could be considered confusingly similar. So you might have a business that no one has the exact name as you, but there's something out there that is confusingly similar. Okay, so if you file a trademark application, it gets assigned to an examining attorney, and they could say, no, we don't think we should give you protection because XYZ company out here has a name that's already protected and your name is confusingly similar to theirs. We don't think consumers would be able to tell the difference between the two, even though they're not exactly alike. Only another attorney would be able to understand those like little nuances and then be able to advise you whether or not to even try to apply for trademark protection. So that's how you would do the search. To answer the other question, the trademark process can span anywhere from 6 to 12 months.
Yikes.
Yes, it's a very long process, but most of the process is stalled because of the time it takes to get assigned an examining attorney, the publication period. If you have to defend yourself against what's called an office action. So just to kind of quickly explain the trademark process, if you're going through an attorney, you get with an attorney, they do the trademark search, right? And like I said, that's honestly the bulk of the fee, because the trademark search is a lot, okay? I'm using every code combination imaginable to make sure that there's no business out there that could be considered confusingly similar. Then you're issued, at least if you're with me, you're issued what's called a trademark memo. And that memo is a document of every single business name, logo, anything that I find filed with the USPTO that I think you need to know about. And then my legal strategy for whether or not I think that will interfere with you getting trademark protection. Some of them out there, I'll say no, and for different reasons. Some of them I might say, yeah, we might have a challenge with this one. And this is what I think the USPTO is going to say, right? Once you get that memo, if you still think, yeah, I want to move forward with the trademark process, then we do the actual application. You pay the fee. So your lawyer's fee, That's their
It's
service.
separate.
That's the service that you're getting. There's a separate fee, an application fee you have to file with the USPTO. Right now, to file a trademark for either a business name, logo, or slogan for one class, because that's the other thing people don't realize too. When you get trademark protection, you have to specify the class of goods or service, right? So, perfect example, you have Delta Airlines, but you also have Delta faucets, right? So you're thinking, Danielle, you just told me that if I have a business that's the same name as another business, I might not be protected. It depends. Delta faucets and Delta Airlines don't compete with each other because they don't offer the same good or service. So when you're filing for trademark protection, you have to specify what class you're under, right? So if you want to do Delta for airlines, you have to do that. If you want to sell merchandise, that's a totally different class, right? We're not going to give you Delta forever and ever for any good or service ever, but we'll give you Delta Airlines, right? For airlines, we'll give you Delta for merchandise because Delta does sell merchandise with their brand name and logo on it. With Delta faucets, we'll give it to you for, houseware, steelware, stuff like that. So for each thing you're trying to trademark, you have to do it under a certain class. Right now, to do one application for either a business name, logo, or slogan for one class, it is $275 per class per application.
But
That
they're
fee is going
separate.
up. Yes, yes. That fee goes up in January to $300. 300 or $350 depending on the type of application that you submit. So it is costly, but it is a fee that you're paying on the front end to make revenue, to bring in an asset to your business, to protect your business in the long term. So once I do that, we file the application, you get assigned, excuse me, a trademark examining attorney within the first 2 months after you file your application. They go through the same search I do, and they're either going to send me, your attorney, or you a notification saying, hey, your application has been approved. We're going to start the publication period, which is 4 to 6 weeks. Or you get what's called an office action. An office action is where your examining attorney says, hey, you know, we found something out there that we think is too confusingly similar, or we think that you didn't submit a proper specimen, because when you apply for a trademark you have to submit a specimen, which is just an example of your business name or logo in commerce, right? So if you sell goods, you're going to want to take like a screenshot of your website where the goods are available for purchase. If it's a service, you have to submit like your business card or some type of marketing material to show, hey, the name and the logo are actually currently being used in commerce and should be protected. That's called a non-substantive office action, and those are easy fixes. But a substantive office action is where they're saying legally, we don't think you should get protection because it's too substantially similar to another business. Now you have 6 months, or your attorney has 6 months to answer the office action before they reject your application entirely. And that's why the process can take long, because sometimes you get office actions and now we have to figure out a legal strategy and game plan for how to respond. And then we have to wait till they receive the response, they read it over, and then they let us know what the next steps are. The publication period then happens if everything goes well. That's 4 to 6 weeks. If everything goes well during publication, then you will be officially certified and registered, and you'll get your certificate, which is that's a great feeling when you get your certificate in the mail that you have a registered trademark. And then you can start using the R next to your business name or your logo, the little R with the circle. But then you have to enforce your trademark as well. So I think we were talking earlier that you didn't know that you had to renew your trademark. The first time you get trademark registration, you have to provide proof that you're still in business within the first 6 years of getting your registration. Then after that, it's every 10 years, because trademark protection is only good for as long as your business is still operating. So if you're selling a good and you get a registered trademark for your goods, you have to be continuously selling those goods for that 6 year or 10-year period, or else you will lose your protection. Because it's to protect your business while your business is operating, right? So if your business stops operating, it's not fair to prevent someone else from using it if you're no longer using it. So that's how they keep up with that stuff. But it is a lengthy process, right? It's not a cheap process, but it's worth it at the end of the day because you can then license your brand out to other people if you want to. You can get investors because now investors know that their investment will be protected because you've done what you need to do to protect your business. And, at the end of the day, you've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into your business. You want to make sure that no one else can use it and no one else can profit off of it.
Yes. Okay. Miss Sheila said, so if you have filed for a trademark, but information comes back that your name has to be put on an alternate list, because that's kind of like what you were talking about. She says, what would you do?
So I think what you're talking about is a supplemental registry. So sometimes that will happen if there are certain I can't think of another word other than like glitches, right? So it's not necessarily that there's anything out there that's too confusingly similar, but there may be an issue with the name. So they'll put you on what's called the supplemental registry. Eventually, you will get full registration. Now, if it's a specific name, right, you have to do what's called a letter of consent. So if you decide that you want to go into cosmetics, but you use like your initials, right? Like me, DL Cosmetics or something. When I file my trademark application, I have to file what's called a consent because contained within my business name is my actual name. So the USPTO needs to know that some people name their businesses after their children, right? They need to make sure that you're not out here just using someone's name willy-nilly trying to get protection for it. So you have to basically let them know, hey, I'm aware that this business name contains an actual name, like a surname or something like that, and I give consent for that use. The supplemental registry might be what you're thinking about or what you're talking about. And so sometimes you're put on the supplemental registry, so it gives you that extra time to kind of, if you have to switch up the name a little bit or you have to file additional proof with the USPTO, but at least because you're on the supplemental registry, you still get the same protection that you would if you were on the full registry. As long as you're doing what you need to do, you're answering your office actions from the USPTO, you're filing things on time. Once your application is in, you get protection, right? Now you can't use the R yet because you're not registered yet, but you're at least able, if someone else is out there trying to use the same thing, you're at least able to protect it because if they do a trademark search, your application will pop up in their system. So they shouldn't be filing for a business with the same name as you because you're still in their system.
Okay, so Anthony says, what stage do you get a trademark if you are writing a book, or is it before hiring a publisher? So where in the writing process do you protect it?
Anthony, I loved that you asked this question because now I get to kind of explain the differences between my two services. So if you are writing a book, right, you don't want to necessarily trademark that book. This is the difference between a trademark and a copyright. A trademark identifies the source of the goods and services, the source, not the actual good, right? So if I have a client who's selling shirts, I've had so many people that are selling clothes and they're like, hey, I want to trademark my design. You can't trademark a shirt design. You can't do it because the shirt design does not specify the source of the goods and service. The tag does, right? So Hanes can put whatever they want to on a shirt, but we know that it's Hanes because we look at that tag, right? Nike can use whatever colors they want to on their shoes, but you know it's Nike because you see that check mark and you see the Nike sign on the inside on the tag of the shoe, right? So if you're writing a book, what you want to do is copyright your book. If you have a series of books, for instance, Harry Potter, you want to trademark Harry Potter because now you have a series of books that identifies the source, right? We know Sorcerer's Stone, Harry Potter. I think Chambers of Secrets, Harry Potter. All of the different editions of the Harry Potter series, right? We might know by their individual names, Sorcerer's Stone and stuff like that, but we all know that's a Harry Potter series. So if you're an author and you're developing like a series of children's books, at that point, yeah, you're going to want to trademark the name of the book, because now you have multiple books out there and you want to identify that these all come from the same source. But if you have one book, you wouldn't necessarily trademark the book, you would copyright the book. That way, no one else can copy anything that you've put in that book, right? Because, like I said, trademarks specify the brand, the source of the goods and service. So you can't trademark an idea, you can't trademark a design. You have to trademark something that's actually in commerce, that's tangible, that is the source of a good or service.
That's good stuff. So Shannon, what she say? Do I need to have my name and logo before starting the trademark process? So Shannon is an actual client of mine. She is a commercial cleaning business, right?
Okay.
So that's what she does. I don't know if that kind of helps you out. So
Okay.
do you need to-
So this is my recommendation no matter what type of company you have. Technically, you want to start the trademark process at the beginning, not necessarily trying to file for trademark protection, but you want to do a trademark search. That way, you know that when you develop the name and the logo, it is going to be unique enough that you're going to be able to get that full ownership. Because the thing with trademarks is that most times you're going to want to already be in business, because like I said, you only have trademark protection for as long as you're using the name and logo in commerce. So if you offer a service, right, you want to actually be in service so that you can provide a specimen when you apply that says, hey, this name is already out there, I'm already gaining revenue from it, people already identify me with this business, that's why I should get protection. Now there is a way to start the trademark process, like the formal registration process, without being in business. There are two different applications you can file. One is a 1A. 1A means this name is already out there, I'm already in business making money. Then there's a 1B application. A 1B application is what we call an intent to use application. You're telling the trademark office, hey, I'm not fully in business yet, but within the next 5 years, this business is going to be up and running, and I want to make sure that it's protected before then. The issue with filing a 1B application is that it's a much longer process, and technically it's more money to do that. It's cheaper on the front end because when you're registering, remember I was talking about the application being per class, it's a little less money when you're doing it, but you have to file a lot more proof, right? And every time you file something, you have to pay. So you end up having to kind of pay out a little more money on the front end. With a 1B application, you have 12 months to prove that you're in business. If you need additional time, you can get up to 5 extensions of six months each. So technically you have like about 5 years or so to prove to the USPTO that you are now in business using this name. You don't want to use the full 5 years though. But that is a way to kind of start the trademark registration process without your business being like full-fledged. But technically you should start it from the very beginning, because you want to make sure that whatever name or logo you decide to use, you're going to be able to protect when the time comes.
Good deal. Good deal. So let me see. Sheila said yes, and she said thank you. Mr. Anthony said thank you. Shannon said, was Shannon starting his trucking business? When should he start the process? Okay, so Shannon's husband, we're in the process of starting a logistic business where he's gonna commute with trucking and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to know when she should start the process for his business, because he hasn't we're not active yet. We've formed some stuff, but we're really not active at this point. We'll be 2021, but at this point we're not.
Okay. So if you already have, if you're going to file a 1B, you have to have whatever it is that you want to have protected, ready and to go. So if you have a business name, if you want to do a 1B application, you have to know what your business name is, because you have to be able to tell the USPTO what you want to protect. Now, if you want to just find out, if you have, a couple of options out there and you're trying to decide and you want to find out, hey, is this available for use? You can do a trademark search, or you can have a trademark search performed for you, which is technically the first part of the trademark registration process, right? And that is what I recommend for upcoming business owners who haven't started filing yet and they're not necessarily in business, but they want to make sure that when they do, get into business, that what they're putting out there as their business name and logo is something that they can protect. So I definitely recommend always doing a trademark search in the beginning. That way you're not investing a bunch of money in something that you can't protect later. But if you're talking about the actual formal application process, then yes, you're going to have whatever it is you want to protect. If it's just the business name or the logo, it's going to have to be ready to go because they're going to want to see it. You have to know what it is that you want to protect. One thing I will say when it comes to names and logos, a lot of times, because it costs money to do this stuff, right? I'll have clients that ask me, well, Danielle, what should I do first? That depends on you. What you're going to want to think about is, what do consumers tie me to? What is it that they hear or that they see that lets them know this is my business? If your logo is the more prominent thing that people see and identify and know that that's you, you're going to want to protect that. If it's not, or if you're like me, for instance, right? I I got my logo designed. I'm not in love with it. I might change it. A lot of times people do change their logos over time. So you probably are not going to want to trademark protect the logo if you know you're not in love with it. Your business name, however, definitely, because you have IRS filings in that business name. You have your business registration with the state that you pay money for every year in that name. So you're going to want to protect that because for a fact 9 times out of 10 you're not going to change your business name. But the logo, the design, sometimes we just need something to start, and that's not what we stick with long term. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. But if you want to do a 1B, which is an intent to use, you're going to have something to show, like, this is what it is I want to protect. So yeah, you're going to have to develop that beforehand.
All right, y'all. We've been over here for an hour and 11 minutes. This is my last day in office, but I do got work to do, y'all. So I will ask Miss Danielle to come back and hang with us. But in the meantime, and in between time, she is open and taking clients, y'all. And so y'all can come into her inbox and schedule an appointment and have her specifically speak to and advise you in whether you need the copyright or the trademark, right? Because we're builders, we're not hustling. So please don't reach out to her if you thinking about hustling, because we're not hustling, we're building. We're building, and that does come with the investment in yourself, in your business, in your brand, in your legacy. I will ask her to come back and join me because I've learned so much. I feel like I'm super smart right now. I'm just feeling really smart. And so I see that you guys have really enjoyed it. I thank you, Ms. Danielle, for coming on, giving me an hour of your time to help impart on our entrepreneurs and business owners everywhere. Let us know where they can connect with you, how, when, all of that kind of good stuff.
Okay. Well, I am on Facebook. My business page is Danielle S. Lynn ESQ. Danielle DANIELLE, middle initial S, last name Lynn LYN. So I do have my personal Facebook page, but it's harder to keep up with business through my personal Facebook page. So you can find me on Facebook through the page Danielle S. Lynn Esquire. On Instagram, I am at Boss Lady Legal. On Twitter, I am at Boss Lady Legal. My email address is Danielle at Boss Lady Legal. And then my website is www.bossladylegal.com. You can go there to book a consultation. If you want to speak to me, my consultations are via phone, but you have me for like 45 minutes to ask every question you want to ask. And we can develop a strategy for what your business needs are. And then the cost of the consultation is credited towards the first service that you book with me. So it's an investment, but you see a return on it, right? Because like you said, we're not hustling in 2021, right?
We
Mm-hmm.
building. Listen, for all of my hustlers out there, that's why your business ain't still active, because you couldn't get any of that capital because you didn't do it right the first time. Set yourself up for success in 2021, because the money is gonna come down the pipeline, and it's only coming to the people that's ready, and that's facts. I know some of y'all may not like it, but that's actual and factual.
Mm-hmm.
You upset about the big businesses getting money, but they got the attorneys and the accountants.
They got their dream team.
Yeah, they got their dream team, so they ain't missing nothing. Like, they made the investment, so they not missing nothing. And so you shouldn't miss anything. Go ahead and hop in her inbox and get yourself set up. Listen, we got what? 20? No, we got 18 days or something before 2021. And so, come on, y'all. Let's do it right this time. We want to be a success story. Like, I look at the SBA, and it makes me sad that less than 20% of business owners ever reach 6 figures in revenue, more or less 6 figures in profit. And I tell you guys all the time, you can hustle to 6 figures, right? It's easy. But going to 7 figures or multiple 6 figures, you need a strategy and you need a team. And that's how you build a legacy. Multiple streams of income. That's how you build a legacy. If you talk to any of these other millionaires or billionaires or whatever, they will tell you they got a team of advisors, and their advisors are attorneys. Their advisors are accountants. Their advisors are mentors, people that got them that way. And so don't neglect it, right? I tell you guys, the CEO, the difference between us, or not me, but other people, small business owners and the CEO, is that they invest in their partner, and your partners are your dream team. They're your advisors. They're going to keep you in a place where you can continue to build sustainable and scalable, profitable businesses of your dreams, right? Everybody wants financial freedom, and this is how you do it. You invest in the beginning, and it's a big payoff. It really is. So I thank you again, Miss Danielle. I'm going to have you back. This was fantastic, and I wanted it to be. I think the people enjoyed it.
I'm glad.
I'm going to do my little spiel. Y'all, thank you guys so much for honoring me with your time. I am a big proponent of having your dream team and not hustling, but building your way to wealth, right? So we're wealth builders, legacy creators, and standard bearers. That's who I am. If you guys are looking for me, you guys know today is my last day in the office, right? So you can hit me up January 4th, right? My, the inbox messengers and my email, all of that will give you an autoresponder tomorrow if you email me or get on my appointment calendar, any of that. I love you guys. I'm so thankful that you guys have joined me and hung out with me in 2021 and helped me grow. I really am. But I need a few minutes to kind of decompress, right? I need a few minutes to decompress and prepare for 2021 for myself and my family and my business, right? I will continue the Millionaire Mondays. I have 2 more for this year, right? We have 2 more Mondays, 2 more for this year. We'll talk about, I think I might have a retirement specialist on, and then I can't remember who's on the last Monday of the year, but we will. Now, you guys are so welcome. You guys are so welcome. Share this broadcast with somebody that's either starting a business or in business, and we want to help them be successful, right? The last 10 days of the month, I think that I'm probably going to hop on super early in the morning and pray over you guys' business, because preparation and prayer go hand in hand, right? I don't want to go into 2021 blindsided, and I don't want you to go into 2021 blindsided. And the Bible is clear that he will not leave us ignorant of the enemy's devices, and the way that he speaks is through our prayer time and our worship time with him. So I think that I am going to share some of my prayer time with you guys and pray over your business and my businesses and all the businesses that I'm connected to for the last 10 days of the year going into 2021, because I am intentional about working with business owners that have a vision and want to create a legacy for themselves. And I'm also intentional about hitting the 7 figures for my business. the $1 million in revenue, and intentional about helping you hit your goals, your 6 and your 7 figures, your 8 and your 9 figures, whatever that looks like for you. I am very intentional about doing it. Now, if you guys have some ideas of who you guys might want to see on our Millionaire Mondays or the mindset of a muggle, let me know. I did reach out to a crypto specialist. They will be on in 2021. Who else? Somebody else asked me. I'm going to have my mentor on. I'm super excited about that, y'all. She's gonna give you the tea and get your mindset all the way together so you can build a successful business. Anyway, that is all that I have for you guys. Thank you again for honoring me with your time. Until next Monday, right? I will not be in office today. When I leave the office, no more office. But I will see you guys next Monday. Until next Monday, you guys have a blessed week. And I'll talk to you guys later.